Hello again, it's Jennifer with Watercolor Girlfriend, and today we're going to do a beach scene, kind of a coastal scene, cityscape, and we're going to use Frisket or the masking fluid again. If you haven't watched another video that I did, we did some pattern work and then we used the Frisket or masking fluid there, and I walk you through how to use it and how to remove it and stuff. I'll put that in, somewhere where you can find it, and I'll show you how to do it here as well and get you started on that. We're going to also use some ink pen, which I love to do. It's one of my favorite ways to create a painting. All three of these media work together really nicely. So we're just going to dive in, and I hope this inspires you to get going. Oh, I didn't show the picture. There it is. There it is. And you can see the white areas where I used the fluid. So it's a really nice white. It's really a crisp white, so you can go over it again later and get, like a layered look, or get something that's less harsh of a white, space or shape. And, it's a fun, sorry, I'm staring right at the painting. It's a fun media to use. I guess you could call it media. It's a fun material to use. And it's simple. Don't leave it on too long. Days. It might become one with your paper. But I also like to show you that I'm doing it right here in my sketchbook. And, I'm sorry, I ripped off the cover, but it's like an 80-pound, maybe even, yeah, it's probably about an 80-pound. So it's not too thick, but it gives you that ability to just have a good time. You don't have to worry that it's a precious paper. You just get going and you make a nice collection for yourself on your travels, at home, in your backyard, wherever you happen to be. Okay, let's get started. So we're just gonna jump right in, and I started drawing a cityscape with ink, and I love the Pilot pens. They're a roller ball, so it's not like an ink felt tip. It has more of a roller ball feel. It's a nice drawing piece, ink pen. So now I just did a little bit of drawing, and I'm going to jump right in with the masking fluid, and I put some in the what a mess. I put some in the cap. That's kind of how I always use it, because you don't really need a lot, and I use the same brush that I always use because it can really gunk them up, and I just sort of randomly pick areas to put it. It's a interesting material to work with, and I really like it. Gives you a hard edge, so you can fix that a little later if you'd rather avoid that, but it's fine with me. I enjoy it, and I'm making some clouds here. Then I just start putting in some white areas where I'm going to have the water, and I really love the effect it's going to give. You'll want to wait for that ink to dry thoroughly, or you will make it run and kind of smear. So whatever ink you decide to use. If you want to use pencil, that's fine. Maybe erase it somewhat so it doesn't really stand out. It's impossible to erase pencil after you've put watercolors over it. So you'll want to, I like to erase it a little bit so that it kind of falls in the background and you don't notice it quite as much. So I'm just going to fill in a whole bunch of areas in the water with the Frisket or masking fluid. So later on I'm going to have a lot of white areas that, you know, give a different feel to the water instead of all just a solid blue. Okay, so you'll want to clean up the brush real well when you're done with the masking fluid. Sometimes I'll leave it in the water for quite a while. Put the lid on real tight, it'll dry out pretty quick. And then, you know, give it a little blast with the hair dryer so you can move right on into painting. And it won't melt it or anything, it just dries it nicely. And you can still see some of the masking fluid there. It's a little tacky, so you'll I don't know, that's just the way it works out. That's the kind of material it is. And the water and the watercolor paint will just kind of roll off of it and leaving a nice white underneath. So I'm just gonna let you enjoy the painting process. I chose kind of a lighter bluish color for the buildings. They kind of just recede then instead of, you know, being a focus. If I chose like red or a bright yellow or something where they would, you know, really pop off the paper. This is just something that's kind of in the background. It's really more about the ocean and, you know, being on the coast and that kind of thing. So I'll let you enjoy that and make note. I will go over the masking fluid with different blues and you'll see kind of how that beads up and you know, leaves the paper underneath white. Okay, so this is kind of my first layer of color, and I'm gonna let this dry for a second, and then you can bring out the hair dryer if you need to. I want to zoom in there so you can see really well, and I'm going to remove the Frisket. So remember, it's dry. I dried it a while back so that I could start painting. And now, if you remember rubber cement, it's very similar. It doesn't stick to the paper as much, which, you know, is important. If you leave it on too long, or a few, you know, even a week maybe, it will probably start to pill and tear up your paper as you take it off. So there's quite a bit on there in each of the areas, but you can also see that I just love the way it creates a solid white, hard-edged piece. And you could change brushes to see if you could get a little different look, but you can also go over areas with the appropriate colors to kind of soften those edges if that's something you want to do. All right, not too bad. Looks nice. Yeah, make sure it's all off, so when you go back into it, you know, and you'll notice it kind of gets a grungy color, and it has a feel to it, so you can tell wherever it is. Now I'm going back in with some pen work. I like to add some more accents, and I just love me some circles and some dots, and it kind of gives the feel of spray from the water. So that's why I chose to do it this way. And you know, I'm not a realist, so I enjoy doing it the way I like and the way I feel, instead of what exactly is going on exactly. Okay, I like how this looks. Maybe a couple more doot-doot-doots. And then I'm going to add some more richer colors, you know, go over some of the areas and layer it, give it some more punch. You can kind of see already how it gives you a darker area, so the lighter areas pop off more and maybe even look like waves to you. I love this approach where you come back and everything is the color you want it, but then you go over in certain areas and make it darker and make it more vibrant of that color. So working in layers. And you could do this with a really wet brush if you want. It would take longer to cover areas, but then you can also do it with a drier brush, which is nice. You just, if you get your brush wet, you can just dry it off on some paper or a cotton cloth or something like that. So as I finish up this painting here, it's kind of wrapping it up. It's a fun painting. You know, I'm always saying that word because I'm really just here to have a good time. I'm not here to, you know, concentrate on realism and spending hours and hours on a painting. I want to be able to do a painting in under an hour, under half an hour, and this one is one of those. And it really captures the places you go when you go on and travel. And you know, it's just a nice experience, and it expands on just a photograph. But we're wrapping up, and you'll see an image of this when I'm done. And I hope you enjoy your painting and have a lovely day.